Good morning, student. It's me, Atul Verma, Babu Banarsi Dars University, Lucknow. Now, today we are going to discuss about DSS model and situations.
Management Support System Modeling. As the name itself explains, a model driven decision support system utilizes a model to solve problem or aid in decision making. A model can be statistical, financial, mathematical, analytical, simulation, or optimization. Okay, a model driven DSS may employ a single model or a combination of two or more models depending upon the specific needs of its users. Okay, simple model provide basic functionality while combination of two or more model lets user analyze complex data. DSS model. Here we discuss model driven DSS are generally not data intensive. Rather, they use parameters entered by decision makers and help them analyze a situation. They generate optimal solutions that are consistent with time and resource constraint. The scope of model driven DSS is huge and can be further enhanced by integrating web based applications. When developing properties MDSS, it's important to understand modeling and analytical tools, their working and scope. Building model driven DSS requires a considerable level of expertise. Managers and DSS analysts need to work closely to develop an efficient system which is scalable, versatile, and easy to integrate and use. Here is the modeling decision situations. Okay, we are going to describe these situations here. What is the situation? Model driven DSS can be used to aid decision making in a variety of situations. It can assist managers in making, create and landing decision, product demanding forecasting, budgeting decision, marketing decision, production forecasting decision, resource allocation decision, project planning, investment decision, and so on. Here we are trying to discuss demanding forecast first. Okay, demand forecast is a field of predictive analytics. Okay, which try to understand and predict customer demand to optimize supply decision by corporate supply chain and business management. Demand forecasting involves quantitative methods such as the use of data, especially historical sales data as well as statistical technique from test market. Demand forecasting may be used in production, planning, inventory, management, and at time in assessing future capacity requirements or in making decision on other to enter a new market. Okay, here is the two assessments about these methods: qualitative assessment and quantitative assessment. Okay, first we discuss qualitative assessment, forecasting demand based on expert opinion. Some of the type in this method are unaided judgment, prediction market, Delphi technique, game theory, judgmental bootstrapping, intention and expectation survey, theory of executive method. And other hand, quantitative assessment. What is the quantitative assessment? Let's see. Discrete event simulation, extrapolation, group method of data handling, a reference class forecasting, quantitative analogs, rule-based forecasting, neural network, data mining, conjoint analysis, causal models, segmentation, exponential smooth models, hybrid models, and so on. Okay. And other capital budgeting, yeah, you can say budgeting decision, it come in the capital budgeting. So first we want to understand what is the budgeting and what is the sense come from budgeting decision. Budgeting is the company's formal process used for evaluating potential expenditure or investment that are significant in amount. Okay. It involves the decision to invest the current fund for addition, disposition, modification, or replacement of fixed assets. The large expenditure include the purchase of fixed assets like land and building, new equipments, rebuilding or replacing existing equipments, research and development, etc. The large amount spent for these type of projects are known as capital expenditure. Okay. Capital budgeting is a tool for maximizing a company's future profits since most companies are able to manage only a limited number of large projects at any one time. Capital budgeting usually involves calculation of each project's future accounting, profit by period, the cash flow by period, the present value of cash flow after considering time value of money, the number of years it takes for a project, cash flow to pay back the initial cash investment, and assessment of risk and various other factors. Here is some factor. Future of budgeting. It involves high risks, large profit are estimated, long time period between the initial investment and estimated returns. Okay. And what is the process of budgeting? First is project identification and generation. Second is project screening and evaluation. Third one is project selection. That is the point for process. The first step toward capital budgeting is to generate a proposal for investment. There could be various reasons for taking up investments in a business. It could be addition of a new product line or expanding the existing one. It could be a proposal to either increase the production or reduce the cost of output. Second point, project screening and evaluation. These steps mainly involve selecting all correct criteria to judge the desirable of a proposal. This has to match the objective of the firm to maximize its market value. The tool of time, value of money comes handy in this step. Also the estimation of benefits and the cost need to be done. The total cash inflow and outflow along with the uncertainty and risk associated with the proposal has to be analyzed thoroughly and appropriate provisioning has to be done for the same. And the third point, project selection. There is no such defined method for the selection of a proposal for investment as different businesses have different requirements. That is why the approval of an investment proposal is done based on the selection criteria proposal is done by on the selection criteria and screening process which is defined for every firm keeping in mind the objective of the investment being undertaken. Once the proposal has been finalized, the different alternative of raising or acquiring funds have to be explored by the finance team. This is called preparing the capital budgeting. The average cost of fund has to be reduced. A detailed procedure for periodical reports and tracking the project for the lifetime need to be streamlined in the initial phase itself. The final approval are based on profitability, economic constituents, viability, and market conditions. Okay. And the third point is product planning. Project planning. Project planning is the part of project management which relates to the use of schedules such as Gantt chart to plan and subsequently report progresses within the project environment. Project planning can be done manually or by the use of project management software. Initially, the project scope is defined and the appropriate method for completing the project are determined. Follow this step. The duration for the various tasks necessary to complete the work are listed and grouped into a work breakdown structure. This is the structure we discussed here. Work breakdown structure. Okay. Project planning is often used to organize different area of a project, including project planning, workloads, and the management of teams and individuals. The logical dependency between tasks are defined using an activity network diagram that enables identification of the critical path. Project planning is inherently uncertainty as it must be done before the project is actually started. Therefore, the duration of the task is often estimated through a weighted average of optimistic, normal, and pessimistic cases. The critical chain method adds buffers in the planning to anticipated potential delay in project executions. Then the necessary resources can be estimated and cost for each activity can be allocated to each resources given the total project cost. At this stage, the project schedule may be optimized to achieve the appropriate balance between resource uses and project duration to comply with the project objective. Once estimated and agreed, the project schedule becomes what is known as the baseline schedule. Progress will be measured against the baseline schedule. Throughout the life of the project, analyze progress compared to the baseline schedule is known as earned value management. The input of the project planning phases to include the project charter at the concept proposal. The output of the project planning phase include the project requirement, the project schedule and the project management plan. Okay. Each MDSS has a clear objective and specific purpose. It deploys a model consequently. A lot of thought goes into deciding what model should be included in a model driven DSS. MDSS usually carries out sensitivity analysis or what if analysis. It is the most important analysis here, what if analysis. Okay, we will discuss it later. However, the user must remember that the system does not make a decision. It only generates alternatives that are to be analyzed and assessed by decision makers. The most important aspect of model driven DSS in the model, it is used for decision making. This means that the selection of a model is the most crucial step in building an MDSS. So, how you go about it? Let's understand. Okay. Here is a describe of detailing of this concept. Modeling is the process of identifying an appropriate model for a prospective model. Fine. Driven DSS support system. It goes through following phase in a chronological manner, beginning from problem identification. Okay. It's always starting from the finding and searching of problem identification, and then it go to solution. Okay. Once the model is done, it vital to validate the selected model. Okay, to ensure it works well and generate appropriate result. Model validation is done by comparing models output and the actual behavior of the event. Assumption are prediction are or best guesses. Each model has certain assumption about the time and risk involved. Again, I repeat it. Okay, assumption are prediction or best guesses. There two things: prediction, okay, or you can say it is the best guesses. Which model has certain assumption about the time and risk involved. When the prediction come in your any method, it then that's mean the risk involved. Okay, risk involved in a particular situation. These results are tested through sensitivity or what if analysis. Okay, assumption play an important role in defining a problem and identifying and dealing with uncertainty. Decision maker form a hypothesis and attempt to predict result basis the outcome. A hypothesis is better either accepted or rejected. Model driven DSS are designed assume any of the analysis static and dynamic. Okay, there's two assumption and forecasting. Static analysis or dynamic analysis. Assumption forecasting depend on two analysis, which is very important. First is static analysis, and second one is dynamic analysis. And what is the static analysis? First one, let's understand. This type of analysis does not take into consideration the long-term response of a system. It takes a single snapshot of a situation and assume that it will remain stable all through and will not change. Static analysis done when a situation in which company makes a decision is static in nature. Okay, there is no variables, there is no value of changes. That means it is a statics. Okay, and second one is dynamic analysis. Dynamic analysis is testing a program or a software system in real time. This method considers that the situation changes over time due to any reason such as cost, rule and regulation, time, etc. Assumption and forecasting. What kind of analysis need to be conducted depending upon the situation? Decision maker and DSS analysts must identify whether it is appropriate to assume certainty, uncertainty, or risk in situations. First is certainty. When adequate information about a situation is available, a model based on certainty, static analysis tend to yield optimal solution. Second one is uncertainty. When information available is vague, unpredictable, unreliable, it's important to acquire more information to find an appropriate model. And third one is risk. When information is missing, what if analysis carried to add decision making? And mentioned earlier, each model driven DSS work on some kind of model or a combination of model. Therefore, known about various model pays off. A DSS deploy one or combination of below model. Okay, there is some models described in descriptions. Explanatory descriptive model describe and explain why something is the why it is and why and how it work. Why and how it is most common thing in this model. Contemplative model forecasting results or outcome that may be produced from a specific set of parameters. And third one is algebraic method model, a high level model system for solving complex equation. It is employed to optimize a variable or equation. The best part is that it can handle several simulations equations. A DSS with any one of above models performs a single function, whichever it is meant to do, while a DSS with multiple models is a complete system to perform all three tasks including identifying relationship between variables, forecasting results based on changes or parameters, deciding to what extent a variables can be manipulated. Accounting and financial model. These model-driven decision support system aid in decision making in various situations related to accounting and financial management. The explanation include break-even analysis. A DSS with break-even analysis model adds managers in determining a break-even point for a product. It helps stabilize a what-if selling price and analyzing the relationship between various related components: price, marketing, spend, and profit. The process beginning by assuming fixed and variable cost. Profit is set at zero. It helps determine a break-even cost of a product at which the company is neither loss or make profit. Okay, modeling. Budgeting financial model. DSS with budgeting model is typically an enterprise's wide application. Many companies use such system for budget planning and forecasting. Pro forma financial statement. There is the one thing is there. Pro forma financial statement and ratio analysis. The DSS with the model summarize the anticipated financial result or a specific time period in future. Costs are estimated based on past data. Gross sale are predicted and the profit or loss is then calculated on this relationship. Ratio analysis the help a business in evaluation its financial statement. Ratio analysis make financial data more meaningful by showing legal relationship between data. Decision analysis model. The main job of decision analysis model is to identify and evaluate alternatives with their respective pros and cons. The decision makers then evaluate all the alternatives and pick the one that they think is the best. The main of decision analysis technique is to decompose and restructure the problem, help decision makers gain in-depth understanding of the problem, separate fact and figure from preference and priorities, help user study the preference of decision alternatives, avoid setting priority that does not help in decision making. Various type of decision analysis model. Analytical hierarchy process, AHP. It is a multi-criteria decision technique that combines quantitative and quality factor when evaluating alternative. The analytical hierarchy process begins with developing a hierarchical representation of a problem with the overall objective on the top decision alternative at the bottom and relevant attribute and selection criteria in a between. After you written this alternative at the bottom, you need to compare the alternative by generating relation data. Consistency ratio is calculated after comparing relative priority of each alternative attribute. The alternative with the highest priority and topmost objective are then displayed. Decision tree. As the name suggested, a decision tree uses a tree like flowchart of decision draw down left to right with further branches explaining their consequence, cost involved, aim and outcome, and utility. The aim is to identify the most appropriate strategy to reach a goal. A decision tree has three types of nodes. First node is choice node represented by a square, change node represented by a circle, end node represented by a triangle. The node has decision rule are the building blocks or decision tree. The decision tree are simple to understand, offer valuable insight, determine the best and worst scenario, and can be combined easily with other decision techniques. Forecasting model form an integral part of a large number of decision support systems. Their main job is to predict the value of interpolated variable at some point of the time in future. The two main types of forecasting are short-term forecasting and long-term forecasting. Where in short-term forecasting, where the prediction will be used anytime soon, mainly in deterministic model. And what is the long term forecasting? Where the prediction is used for long term investment planning decision. Forecasting may include ambiguity as factor on which decisions depend are uncontrollable and dynamic in future. This means that the accuracy of data and the taken in making near perfect prediction matter a lot.